My name is Ghostboy259 and I played Pinball Spire. In a world where it feels like anything and everything is becoming a roguelike, it's nice to see something else become a Metroidvania. And that's how Pinball Spire is described, although I would argue it's just more of an adventure pinball game. Developed by Apparition Games, Pinball Spire is a game that gave me a ton of fun and hope, but also gave me some incredible frustration. When the game is good, it's really solid. But when it's not, it really drags on, and what's worse is the last hour of what is a 4-hour experience was literally having me redo all of my least favorite aspects of the game. If you want to watch me play the game, you can head to youtube.com/realityescapeplays where I uploaded the VOD. If you want to watch me play these games live before they become videos, you can follow me at twitch.tv/ghostboy259. If you want to help support the channel and allow me to continue to upload weekly, you can support me on Patreon with the links at realityescape.ca, and subscribe to this channel for weekly videos on games you've maybe never heard of. Pinball Spire controls mostly like a pinball game at the beginning. You have 2 paddles, but as the game evolves, you'll get more power-ups. The first is the ability to slow things down. Later on, you'll get the ability to turn your ball into a flame ball. And lastly, you'll get the ability to shoot forward in the direction your pinball is already moving. Occasionally, you'll control other things besides the paddles, like little pinwheel thingies or these half crescent thingies, but it doesn't happen too often. You'll also control a little spring to launch your ball, and we see this a lot more often than your standard launch the ball into play. In order to advance to the next screen, you'll need to collect all the letters to open up the gate at the top. This is done by either hitting bells, lighting torches, or sometimes defeating a spinning geometrical shape. To do this, you'll need the aforementioned power-ups. To use the power-ups, you'll need mana, which is the bar on the left side of the screen. To refill your mana, you need to kill enemies, although the enemies have a respawn timer, and not every level has enemies to kill. You can also refill your mana every time you hit a checkpoint, which is normally right before a stage. You can increase your mana bar by gaining XP, which is that bar on the right. There are little gray dots and bumpers everywhere, and when you hit these, you get experience to level up. And leveling up really just increases your overall mana. It doesn't really do anything else, and I didn't find it was by anything super noticeable. The gray dots don't disappear forever either, and the bumpers respawn just like enemies, so in theory you can stick around and grind if you really want to, but chances are you're going to have a few levels in this game where you just get stuck for a while, and you'll naturally grow levels that way, so you don't really have to consciously think about it. And like I said, I didn't really notice the effects of leveling up after a while. After you've collected the letters needed to open whatever is in your way, you'll need to advance by going up, and to do this you'll need to shoot a precision shot, which is by far my least favorite part of the game. Now with the slowdown ability, if your ball is on your paddle, you'll actually be able to see the trajectory of the shot, which helps immensely, but there's a few things that prevent it from being an easy dunk. The first thing being is that it's not always a direct shot. Sometimes there's obstacles in the way or you have to bank it off of something. Another being it's actually pretty difficult to have the ball sit on your paddle, so it's almost like there's always a little bit of RNG. Like I wish there was a power up to make it freeze on your paddle so you could aim better. The other is that the slowdown mechanic requires mana, and the mana goes by rather quickly, even in the late stages of the game. As I've said, there are ways to regenerate mana. The problem is that not every map has enemies, and when you don't have enemies, there's no efficient way to regenerate mana. Sometimes the only way to recover mana is just to let yourself fall to a previous map. Sometimes it's 2 previous maps to get to a save point. I'm not really sure why there isn't enemies on every map. It's not like they can kill you anyways, if only just to be there to help you recover mana, or why mana isn't slowly recoverable over time. I get that it changes the game design a little bit, but not having ways of recovering mana just really isn't that fun to me. I'm not saying it should be infinite or whatever, but it just feels like the playtime is being extended in the most annoying way possible. Now, I get the tendency for balls to fall lower and forcing you to pass stages. That makes sense because it's pinball. Sometimes you're going to miss the ball and it's going to go backwards. That's fine. I have no problems with that. But forcing me to do it where I have to do it so that I can recover mana just to advance feels a little unnecessary. And even when I finally do hit a shot and make it to the next map, I don't feel like I've earned anything. It doesn't feel like an accomplishment. It feels like an accomplishment to beat enemies or to unlock the gate, but when I get to the next area, it just feels like, well, I'm annoyed and I was gonna get it eventually. I just took longer than I thought and I'm glad it's over, instead of, woohoo, I did it. There's this one level in particular where you have to dash through all these stone things. Dash is another ability you get. And they kind of look like clouds, and then you have these planets that are rotating, and then you have the sun that you can only go through if you're on fire, which is another ability. And this was the bane of my existence. You can't control where you dash. You can only dash in the direction the ball was already going. You can use the left stick to kind of nudge your ball into a certain direction, but it doesn't change the direction you're going for dashing. So even if you're falling down and you bump to the left, it won't do anything. If you try to dash, you'll still dash straight down. And it feels very unnatural. Again, I get it because it's pinball, so they want you to have to be really precise with your shots, and you have to line up this shot more or less perfectly, but you can't really aim without the power-ups. You can't replenish mana in this level because there's no enemies, and when you fall beneath, sometimes you fall to the save point that's even further below, just adding more time to the level you're already getting frustrated with. I love the idea of this level, but the execution made it go from challenging to yet another eye-rolling level where it just felt like I had to get lucky to advance. And I understand that at the core of pinball, there is that luck factor. You're playing against gravity and physics, and sometimes things don't go the way you want. But when playing video game pinball, where I have magic powers, I just want a little bit more control as to what I'm given, and just a little bit more preciseness with those powers. Even just being able to choose which direction I can dash in fixes literally 95% of my problems with this game. It helps with the ending precise shots, it helps with these little annoying bits where you have to keep going back and forth. You'll use way less mana, so you don't have to worry about recovering it all the time. There's also this other section. It's very brief, but you have to use these two pistons to get up into the level, and the timing is super precise. Now, it obviously helps if you have mana, but guess what? If you run out of mana, you are stuck here. You can't get mana back. There's nothing you can do. You have to nail the timing because you can't get more mana to help you get out. And even though this is a small section, I spent many minutes here, and it's just a good representation of how this problem is in other places in this game. You can adjust timers to make things easier or make enemies respawn faster, but that just doesn't feel like it's in good faith with the game, so I opted not to, even if it took me longer, because I wanted to judge the game on the base experience it gave the player. And regardless, it still won't give you your mana back any faster, which was the biggest problem. I really don't mind loops, I don't mind getting stuck for a bit, and I don't mind consequences for when you mess things up and you have to redo things, because sometimes that's the fun part of games, is trying something new or trying again until you nail it. But the sections of the game where you feel stuck because you don't have something the mechanics want you to have that they're also taking away from you for no real reason, it just doesn't feel good. It feels like you have to give up and just wait, and that's not what I want to do when I play these games. I want to move forward. Now, I don't think no mana bar or like spell cooldowns or anything like that is the solution, although the latter maybe could work. And truth be told, I don't know what the solution is without changing the entire design philosophy of the game. I just know that this is a very frustrating aspect to the game that halts all the momentum it has while you're playing. And reading other reviews, you'll find others who agree with me. You have these octahedrons you occasionally have to hit. There's this one really cool level where you have to destroy these rocks to free these skulls and have them drop to do damage. However, while I believe this is intended to be some sort of boss fight, although you can't die, you have no health, and the only way to really lose a level is by resetting it by falling into a previous section, but in this area that's impossible, so it's not really a boss fight. I only managed to open one of the pathways before the skulls just killed it on its own. I kind of wish it was hit the object so many times within a certain amount of time, or at least made it so I had to open them all, because I was really looking forward to watching them all hit, and then I never got to do that. That's maybe more of a nitpick, but it's just so hard to aim your burst because it feels so instinctual to nudge in a direction and then charge, but you'll end up charging wherever you were already falling, so basically if you get lucky and hit one, you're good, and this ends up being one of the easiest stages in the entire game. I want to make something very clear that outside of these precision shots where you have to get into the next part, the first 3 hours of this game are very fun, and I really enjoyed all of the moments in between. Even through the resetting and having to backtrack to get mana, I knew the game was pinball, and so I expected a game where I would succeed or fail, and that luck would play a factor in those. The spells do help, there's some interesting puzzle-like sections where you have to use them, and ultimately there were points where I was frustrated because you're trying to hit that one particular spot, but that's expected. I expected the precision shots to take a bit of time. I think they all just took a little bit longer than I was hoping for each time. Especially because the first little bit when you enter a map, you kind of just go crazy and you hit a bunch of random things and you're just kind of having fun with it, shooting it up in the air, trying to clear as much as you can before getting to that precise moment. And then suddenly the game slows down and you have to get really particular with your movements, and it becomes harder and harder to clean up the map. It's expected to a degree because that's pinball. I wouldn't say this is a puzzle game, mostly because you don't really need to figure things out. You can kind of tell what you need to do right away. You just have to get the skill and the luck to work together in order to accomplish it. And I don't mind that at all. I think for this actually works better than trying to do legitimate puzzles because you don't have the precision to do puzzles. I kept wanting to move forward to see what the game would do next, and it's very fun the first time you enter a new stage just to see how everything is going to go. The last hour of my playing experience, however, made me want to quit. You can watch the VOD. I literally don't speak for the last hour because I was so annoyed. After the stage where you kill the D8 thing, you have to beat this one frustrating level where it's just very precise. The little blocks in between keep respawning, and there's a lot of places for the ball to bounce where you don't want it to go. But that's okay, I've been dealing with at least 1 or 2 precise shots per level the whole game. No big deal, right? Once you get past this stage, you find yourself back in the very first stage. And for the next 30 to 40 odd minutes, I had to do every single stage over again. But not the fun parts, because there's no lanterns to light or letters to collect because you've already done it. The only thing you have to do is just that final precision shot over and over and over again. Basically, any part where I was stuck and not having fun the first time, I got stuck at again. I relived my least favorite parts of each level. Now, if you had gotten a new ability at that point, let's say you could properly aim your speed burst, which I've been preaching this whole video, then it would have been super easy. Here's a blast from the past, but now you can crush it and you can move on to the final boss fight. I've seen tons of games do that before. It's cool and it's like this moment to look how far you come. But it's not like that at all here, because you have to redo the entire thing, and for 30 minutes I just got stuck in all the same places with no new abilities. Nothing was different this time than last time. Also, the game is 4 hours long total, and I hit this point at the 3-hour mark. It wasn't nostalgic feeling. I didn't really want to see these maps again because they were fresh in my head still. Now granted, I totally accept that this could be a skill issue. Maybe I'm the only person in the world who had problems with these shots, and if you played this game and you had no problems, then congratulations. This probably took you only 5 minutes and it was a much more cuter moment for you than it was for me. If you got stuck like me, then you know exactly how I feel. I couldn't help but feel like the game was getting in its own way, that it was taking the funnest parts from each level and removing it at the very end and just forcing you to replay the bad parts. And I would argue that even if you were really good at these levels, it's still not ideal game design. Like I said, you're not level 30 coming back to where you were level 1 and you're killing all these enemies in one hit and seeing how much you've grown because the enemies are gone and they were really easy to kill before anyways, and you don't have any new abilities and the new mana doesn't really make that much of a difference. It's just the exact same game that you're replaying again, but not as fun. When I finally got to the final boss fight, I was just beyond frustrated and tired, and I just wanted to be done with the game. And as we established, there's no HP or way to die in these fights. You just keep going until you beat it. There's a bit of strategy, but for the most part, I found that I needed a lot of luck. And again, there's only one enemy in here that's easily hittable. So if you need more mana, have fun waiting for it to respawn because that's your only choice. You cannot backtrack here to go get more mana. Ultimately, the parts of Pinball Spire I enjoyed, the more puzzly aspects or trying to force yourself into certain areas and going through these tunnels and working with the mechanics to complete these objects, like this one with this conveyor belt loop thing that was really cool. I like this. You're doing real things pinball machines couldn't do, and you're changing it up and making it fun, and you have these cool abilities that you can use, and it's not super precise. And I understand there needs to be moments where you're looking for precision and that you need to hit that perfect shot. And the pinball can't exactly go exactly where you want it to go every time because then that removes the entire thing. Even if you were using mana, you shouldn't be able to perfectly aim it 100% of the time. But the game really excels when your goal is get in this pocket of an area and then figure out what abilities to use rather than, well, you need to make this really particular spot and if you fail, you have to redo this entire section. There are games made like this, I just don't feel like that's the vibe this game was going for given how easy the rest of it is. But it doesn't happen all the time, it just happens enough of the time. It's a really fun, unique concept that I think could have been expanded upon very easily, but with the things I had issues with, I was honestly quite relieved that it only lasted 4 hours. Again, it's just such a seesaw of emotions, because the parts I enjoyed, I was super feeling it, and that was a majority of the game, but at some points I just found myself really wanting to move on instead of enjoying the levels I was in, and unfortunately that was the entire back half. There's no point where I got lost. It's got little collectibles to dress up your pinball if that's your thing, and I do enjoy stuff like that. You can go collect it all if you want. The level design on the good parts of the level are all super fun, and they're distinct from each other, and when you get to a new area, you have this, whoa, this is sick, okay, what do I do moment? And that's where the fun of the game is. That's what made it really enjoyable, because it was just such a new and fresh concept. It's definitely not a Metroidvania, at least I wouldn't say so. It's very linear, but it's a really fun little pinball game that maybe with a bigger studio or a little bit more time and play testing, these things would have been a little bit more ironed out. But it's also a game that a bigger studio would never make, and so I'm very thankful for its existence at all. It seems like a majority of the programming and design was made by one person, and as of writing this, he's posted on Bluesky that he's got a new job, but he still wants to continue to do stuff with Pinball Spire and others. So maybe there's a sequel coming, maybe there's some sort of update or DLC or something. I can't say for sure. But I can say that I enjoyed what I saw enough that I'm rooting for this guy, and I hope to see something else super cool out of this tiny little studio in the future. I think there's so much potential in this idea, and I really hope this isn't the last we've seen of it, because when it nails it, it nails it. But that's for the future. For now, my name is Ghostboy259, and I played Pinball Spire. Next time, I'll play something else. Thanks for watching.